Will, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Roberto. How are you?
Good, good. Will Lopez. Will, first tell us who you are, and what you're looking to do.
Yeah, man. So my name's Wilfredo Lopez, but everyone calls me Will. I'm the son of Lucas and Ramona, who were, two hardworking Puerto Ricans who just try to make things happen here in New York City. I'm an attorney by training, but have spent the last, probably most of the last decade in government adjacent jobs. And right now, I'm a candidate for District 8, which covers the vibrant communities of East Harlem and the South Bronx. Just hoping to bring positive change and good impact to this community.
Did you grow up in East Harlem in the South Bronx?
Nah, the worst kept secret in the world. I did not. I grew up in San Sebastián, Puerto Rico, otherwise known as El Pepino. My parents they were in retirement age when I came around. I'm the youngest of eight. My dad has long roots in East Harlem. He came in the late 50s after serving in the Korean War. Had several of my siblings and other family members who grew up in East Harlem. I have still some family that lives in East Harlem, but no, I did not grow up there. I moved here and started my family here. My son was born in Metropolitan Hospital, following a long tradition of other Lopez men who were born in Metropolitan. But I moved here with a goal to, growing up, I heard so much about the positivity and the community that my father and my brothers all experienced in East Harlem. So it was always kind of the mecca for me. So when it came time for me to choose a place to live, I wanted to come back to that community and start my family there.
Is this your first time running for office?
No, I ran for state assembly in 2022 after a former assembly member and former uh, Secretary of State and now current DASNY Commissioner Robert Rodriguez stepped down. He and I spoke, and he encouraged me to run for his vacant seat. We ran a valiant campaign. As I like to joke, we won the campaign but lost the election. But it's all good. Eddie Gibbs, who's a great public servant, succeeded in that race, and he's been doing great work up in Albany ever since.
What percentage of the vote did you get for the assembly race?
I know I cracked 1,500 votes on a total vote. I believe only about 6,000 votes were cast in that race. I haven't looked at the numbers, but Eddie won with about just over 3,000. The second place person got about 2,500, and I cracked 1,500 votes. So not too bad for a first time candidate, but obviously not the result we were looking for.
So, Will, this is the question. I want you to give me your path to victory, and apologies for the other people in the race that I may not mention, but I'm thinking Will Lopez. I'm thinking Elsie Encarnacion from the office of current council member Diana Ayala, and I'm thinking Raymond Santana, of the Central Park Five, who has also thrown his hat in the race. And my understanding is that the Central Harlem, the county leadership is backing Raymond Santana. Obviously, council member Diana Ayala is backing her chief of staff, Elsie, as his former speaker. Council member Melissa Mark Viverito is also behind Elsie. What prominent endorsements do you have, and how do you overcome institutional support? Because, as you know, a lot of the times that brings labor support, that brings a lot of the machine.
Yeah.
Talk about some of your
Uh,
endorsements and some of your supporters.
Yeah, so I've recently received the endorsement of the Communication Workers of America District 1, which is, that they're an important labor partner, have a lot of members who live and work in the district, so we're very proud of that. I've also received the endorsement of Citizen Action, which is a civic organization that does a lot of organizing in NYCHA's in East Harlem and in South Bronx. I've worked with them in the past, so very grateful to have their endorsement. And this is going to be announced tomorrow, but by the time that this plays, it'll be public information. Also receiving the endorsement of Community Voices Heard. They're another community organization based in East Harlem. It has a lot of tenant leaders and tenants who are fighting for more equitable housing. These are people that organize all the time. I've worked with them in the past. I've organized with them in the past. And then my former boss, I used to work at the city council for former council member Ben Kalos. He has come out and endorsed us and has been very, very helpful as a mentor and kind of helping me keep my head straight as to what to focus on and how to build a winning campaign. So always grateful for Ben's mentorship, especially in that regard. The path to victory, for this type of race, it's never easy. As you said, I'm basically running against two different machines. On one end, I'm running against a former speaker and current council member. On the other side, I'm running with people who are being supported by the Manhattan County machine. I don't let that dissuade me. What I focus on and what my team is focusing on is talking to voters. One of the things I'm proud of is that during the petitioning process, we were able to contact, over 10,000 doors. We managed to secure over 2,500 signatures. And while we were doing that, we were talking to voters and identifying them and putting them into our database so that we knew who were likely to support us. In that month in between, we went back to those 2,500 voters and contact them again to make sure that they know a little bit more about me, and then we're able to move them into a great a more strong column. And then since then, we have been knocking on doors every single day. My team and I go out, and we talk to voters. We have a really, really strong field plan. Our goal is to, break 30,000 doors before the end of this phase, getting into GOTV, and we're well ahead of our goal. What's great about it is, when we're talking to voters, they're excited, they're looking for change. My message is resonating. I focus on the issues that are impacting them, which are affordability, public safety, and at the end of the day, the hyper local issues like sanitation pickups or the issues with the oversaturation of drug treatment clinics. Each part of the neighborhood has that third issue, and we've been focusing on it. Transportation has become a big talking point, and I'm proud to say that I'm the only candidate so far in this race that has released a tangible plan to address the housing crisis in the district, and also one to address the transportation crisis. I have a plan that I'm working on for public safety, which will be released later this week, early next week. And then the final plan that I'm hoping to release before we get to the elections is around the mental health crisis. That includes people who are dealing with substance use disorder, and the other mental health issues that are impacting the community. So the message is resonating. It's a low turnout district. You're talking about an average of 11,500 to 12,000 voters. So to secure a victory, it's 6,600 voters. We have a goal of attaining 7,000 votes, and ranked choice voting is going to be an important part of that strategy. So we have a broad appeal. My name recognition is a bit higher since I've been on the ballot before. So when I'm knocking on doors and I'm talking to neighbors and supporters, they've seen me before, they know me. So it's been a very positive campaign so far.
How much money do you have in the bank? How much money have you raised? And where does that
So
put you in terms of, are you top three?
yes, I'm number two in terms of total dollars raised. We have broken the $40,000 barrier in terms of raw dollars. We've received another 130 in matching funds. We're expecting to receive the last chunk of that at the end of the month. So by the end of it, we'll hit the 228 maximum uh, amount, which is the spending limit. So we're right there. Only three out of the 6 or 7 candidates that are currently on the ballot have hit matching funds. So we're right there where we need to be. And yeah, so we have the resources that we need to run this race. Our budgeting has been good. We're not spending on things that don't matter. We're just focused on talking to voters, hitting the doors, and making sure our message gets out there.
Who's running your campaign? Field? Who's your
Yeah,
campaign manager? Who's doing comms?
yeah. So Trip Yang Strategy. So Trip Yang is our general consultant. So him and his team are helping us with communications, make sure that all of our comms are branded and things like that. And then I have Cooper Barton, who is a veteran. He ran the Benedetto campaigns the last 2 times out. Has run other campaigns in and around New York City. And then for field, actually, someone who you might know from Carlo Machaca's days, Jorge Muniz. He came on as our field director. He's someone who has a wealth of experience organizing and running field campaigns for not only folks like Menchaca, but also organizations like Make the Road. So these are folks that know how to mobilize people, know how to recruit, and also know how to execute on field plans.
Well, yes or no, up or down? Are you in favor of open injection centers?
Uh, I mean, you can't just ask a yes or no on that one. So yes to the policy, no to the siting.
Methadone clinics, 125th Street, Lexington, in that corridor.
No, not in favor of it.
So what's your suggestion? If you're saying you want
So
support for people with substance abuse and mental
yeah,
health.
so in the research I've done, people who are receiving treatment, for every mile that they have to travel to get treatment, there's a significant increase in failure of that treatment. People tend to, the further they have to go, the harder it is for them to stay compliant. We need these clinics in every neighborhood. The reality is that people who are dealing with opioid use disorder or fighting addiction, they don't just live in East Harlem. They don't just live in the South Bronx. In fact, there's actual hard data that has been released. There's an organization in East Harlem called the Greater Harlem Coalition. They have this on their website. I encourage everyone to check it out. But they show that um, East Harlem, for instance, is carrying about 14% of the total capacity of treatment centers for the entire city. And less than 3% of the population that uses those facilities actually live in the community. So you have 97% of the people who are receiving treatment traveling into East Harlem. And unfortunately, the further away, and some of these folks are coming all the way from Staten Island, some of them are coming from Westchester, some are coming even from out of state to receive treatment. The further they have to travel, the more likely they are to, unfortunately, not have success in their treatment. And then the second part of it is the way that these treatment centers are run, there's no incentive for people to get cured. The incentive is for people to keep coming in and receiving treatment. That's how the payment structure is set up. We need to figure out a better way, and this is something that I want to partner with our state elected officials on, changing the way that these treatment centers track results so that we're getting to solutions and not just continuing to perpetuate the same system over and over again. So to put it very briefly, we need a fair share. Every community needs to take this burden on. It can't just be put in 125th Street and Lex. It can't just be put on St. Anne's Avenue. They need to go, or the hub here in the Bronx. They have to go, and every community needs to take take these clinics, put them there, so that way folks can receive treatment close to home, so that they have the support system that they need to ensure that they succeed. I've dealt with this issue in my own family. I have family members that are still dealing with addiction issues, and the only reason that they've been successful so far is because they have, we're around them, we're encouraging them, and they're receiving their treatment as close as possible to where they live.
Bail for or against bail reform? What's your posture?
So not a fan of how it's been perpetuated. I'm a former prosecutor, so I've dealt with this issue, since 2019, since it became part of the lexicon. I think we still have some work to do. I'm a little hesitant with the current proposals that are in the state budget, specifically on how it may impact DV survivors, because uh, they rely a lot on those orders of protection. So it's something that I'm studying more on to make sure that I'm up to date with the latest changes. But I still think there's a lot of work to be done with it.
Charter schools or public schools?
Well, if we're gonna define it, charter schools are public schools. However, I do believe that they're being put into neighborhoods that are that are under resourced. There's a map out there that shows, you know places where you have high rates of poverty, you have higher rates of charter schools. Look, if it were up to me, every public school would be a cathedral of learning, would have all the funding that it absolutely needs. But I believe the parents, if they have to make the choice, they're going to choose to send their kids to schools where they're going to get the best results. My parents chose to send me to parochial school, at a great sacrifice, because they felt that it was, the best option for me at the time. But I still am a firm believer that public school education is the gold standard. That's what we should be focused on. Charter schools are a band-aid right now to that point. I'm not going to tell a parent that they should, um, hold out and make choices that they feel are not going to be in the best interest. As a new dad, I can tell you, I want the very best education for my child. And when it comes time to it, I'll have to make that decision based on, on what's available.
Now let's talk about the IE. This is because you've received a lot of press related to the IE. What
Yeah.
what what do you say to people that have criticized you for bringing in outside money, or accepting, and or obviously you can't coordinate with an outside expenditure, but you've received some press, right, talking about the campaign and receiving money from Wall Street and private donors. How do you respond to that?
Well, I mean, first things first, I haven't
In other
received
words, some
any.
people will
Yeah,
make some
yeah.
people wait. Some people will make the argument that Will should have said, "Hey, I'm going to participate in the process, campaign matching funds, low dollar community people, and I'm going to say, hey, we're not going to let private money, Wall Street money, saturate our communities, and this community is not for sale." I'm just saying, there's some people who would have made
Yeah.
that case. Why do you
Yeah,
respond?
I mean, I reject that argument. The reality is, if you look at my filings, 40% of our donations are from in-district donors, and I haven't received any money from, lobbyists or, any Wall Street or real estate interests. I'm actually rejecting real estate developer money. I believe I'm the only candidate that can say that. And in terms of, independent expenditures, they're independent by nature. So the reality is, what they choose to do, how they choose to spend their money, what they, intend, to do is completely up to
So
them. I mean, if not,
why not repudiate and say, hey, I don't want you to coordinate through an intermediary. Say, hey, I don't want your money. I made it
oh,
clear
because
that I don't want real estate money or special interest. Why not say you don't want the spending on your behalf? You
well,
can do that.
Yeah, and my opponents can also do the same. I'm not the only one receiving PAC money in this race. They could do the same. They can also choose not to, receive endorsements from organizations that will also be spending on their behalf. Such, unions do that all the time. The unfortunate part of it is this is part of politics. Money is unfortunately what fuels campaigns. And it's already difficult enough to run effective campaigns with a lot of the restrictions that we currently have in the system. So we're trying to maximize what we can do internally and focus on, our campaign and our issues. If a PAC or an IE is going to spend, then that's on them. We literally have nothing. I can't even speak to an intermediary to tell them anything, because that would be coordination. So the reality is that, until until the dust settles, what they do is independent of what we're doing. We're focused on talking to voters, talking about the issues that they care about, affordability, public safety, and issues like education, like you brought up before. That's what we're focused on. All the other outside stuff, it's noise.
Well, let's wrap this up. Best day on the campaign trail so far. Best day.
Best day, I'd probably say last Saturday was an amazing day. I spent the day serving, moms and grandmothers in this community. At Assembly Member Eddie Gibbs, he does this Mother's Day event every single year. I've been helping him with this for the last couple of years, and just a day spent there with an apron on, serving brunch to 300 or so women who deserve a day where they can just kind of relax, listen to some music, dance, and let us pamper them a little bit. That was probably one of the most rewarding days in the campaign so far.
Is Assembly Member Gibbs supporting you?
Right now, he's playing it pretty neutral.
Was
Other
any
candidates were there as well.
did any of the other
Yes,
candidates get invited?
yes, there were
Okay.
other candidates there. I was literally serving right next to Federico Colon. I saw Clarissa and Elsie were also there. So he's very much
It's down the middle.
playing it
Down the
neutral.
middle.
Yeah, he's focused on making sure that the community gets what they need. So that's why I respect Assembly Member Gibbs.
Worst day.
Worst day, man, that's a tough one. There have been some days where we've had some personal issues, but I probably have to say December 20th, my father-in-law passed away.
Sorry.
He's no, he's someone. I've been with my wife for over 20 years, so he's someone who, especially after my father passed away, 12 years ago, he really stepped up and became my dad. And that was also a day where I was preparing questionnaires and getting ready for, the new year. And, we had a lot of things. I had a filing deadline coming up, and, getting, being there, and, unfortunately, being in the room when he passed away was the hardest thing, because on one end, you want to take as much time as you can to mourn, but on the other end, you kind of had to, get focused and, turn it back to the things that have to get done, because at the end of the day, that he wanted the absolute best for me. So I would probably have to say that's the worst day.
Well, what are you gonna do day one if you win? And we'll wrap it up there.
Yeah, I mean, day one,
First,
my hope,
one thing. What'll be the
yeah,
first
yeah,
thing you do if elected to
yeah,
the city council?
is bring as many leaders in the community as possible together, getting them all to sit around the table. Don't care who they supported, don't care, where they stand on any issues. I want to get them all around a table, or, if we have to get a gym to do this, break bread together and get one message across, that we're one community. Even though it's South Bronx and East Harlem, one community, separated by 3 bridges. And let's work together. And that's what I want. I want to make sure that the first message that everyone hears is a message of unity and it's a message of let's work together.
Thanks, Will. That's it. We'll wrap it up, and I appreciate you taking the time to do this, man. All the best and good luck.
No, thank you so much. Take care.